In a recent interview, wide-ranging interview with Tony Gilroy, the mastermind behind Andor, the Hollywood Reporter gave us this. Tony was asked, so what's the temperature right now at Lucasfilm? Are Kathy Kennedy and company over the moon as far as Andor is concerned? Now, this is a very relevant question because although Andor continues to be one of the best streaming shows on Disney Plus, if not on streaming in general, it still has comparatively low ratings when looking at other Star Wars series that have already debuted on Disney Plus. But I'm going to read you really quickly what Tony had to say about it, and maybe that will assail some fears in the fandom that Andor might be going away sooner rather than later. And I quote, I think so. Yeah, everybody's really happy. I've never had reviews or affirmation like this in my life for anything. And the passion of the people who've been following along is just overwhelming. I don't know what else to say. It's humbling. So I think everybody's happy with that. End quote. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there to start this show and kind of set the tone with it. The at least the higher ups at Disney seem to like Andor, along with a certain subset of the fandom, and hopefully we get more of this show because it is incredible. My name is Lord Deathman, and this is the review of Champions. I want you to be careful for spoilers today because we will be discussing Andor at length, probably multiple episode arcs as we get into the discussion. I also want to invite you to join us on social media. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those types of things. Also, dive into the conversation in the comments if you agree or disagree with anything we're saying. And last but not least, you can join the conversation at sakar.freeforums.net. We'll circle back to this towards the end of the show. But right now, I'd like to just jump straight into the introductions with today's panel. We've got the usual group of suspects today, starting with the fan without fear. Taylor, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Right. Indeed. Exactly. We should have like buttons that when you press them, they just say that automatically. Uh, Merv, how are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Indeed. Good to have you here, brother. And Grandmaster, the master of ceremonies, last but not least, how are you feeling today?
Surprisingly good.
All right. All right. You ready to chop it up about this incredible episode of Andor?
Absolutely, I am.
It's beginning to. I'm beginning to feel like I sound insincere every time I say it's an incredible episode of Andor because they just keep making incredible episodes. But today, guys, we're going to do a deep dive on this one, which is called One Way Out. And if you don't know the format of our show, we do it in 3 rounds. Our first round is going to be quick impressions about the episode. Our second round is going to be deep dive analysis. And our third and final round is going to be final comments and a grade for the episode. So stay tuned, keep it locked in, and let's get started. I want to get quick impressions from Grandmaster on One Way Out. What did you think of this episode?
I didn't know that Star Wars could be so good. And I didn't know that 3 words could break me. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to do a deeper dive on that later. But let's just say I went back to the edge of my seat multiple times during this week's episode. And I just wonder where this show will stop becoming better and better and better because I cannot imagine it getting better anymore.
Yeah, it really does seem like they just keep topping new heights as we continue with the show. And this one was really a master class in production design and action and acting. A lot of great monologuing from fantastic actors with a lot of great writing and dialogue to help fuel that. But now that we've got your first impressions, Grandmaster, I'm going to move on to Merv. Talk about it. What did you think of One Way Out?
I really enjoyed it. Obviously, I kind of expected to, but you don't know what you got until you're watching it. And like Grandmaster said, I found myself, I was sitting back in a chair when I started the episode, and quickly I moved to the edge of the chair, and then I moved to the ottoman in front of the chair, and I just kept getting closer and closer to the scene because it was just, every sequence just kept, okay, well, oh god, what's happening now? You know what I mean? Especially during that prison break sequence. And I've seen all the praise already, but Andy Serkis and Stellan Skarsgård just killed this episode. They were so good in this episode. No, everyone else is great too, but obviously, at various times, certain characters shine, and their characters shone in this episode so much. It was a lot of fun. I had very minor complaint about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm simping for the show at this point, but at one point I was like, I feel like I'm a part of this breakout. Like it just,
Yeah.
it has to work. And I hope I know how to swim, when we get out to the edge there. But yeah, it was really engaging, really pulled you into the episode. Thanks for those notes, Merv. We're going to circle back to get your deep dive in just a minute. So hang on in there. Taylor, last but certainly not least, let us hear what the fan without fear thought of One Way Out.
It was a great episode. I mean, they did a great job with the prison break. Finally, getting it. We'd been leading up to that for like 3 episodes, and it didn't disappoint. It was a great scene, and it also gave us updates on Luthen and Mon Mothma that were pretty intense. So yeah, overall, just great episode.
Yeah. Yeah, you get this feeling that everybody is compromised in some way in Andor in such a really complex way that it keeps you watching the show. It keeps you invested in everybody's stories, even if people are on the morally gray side of an issue. Luthen is just turning out to be a tremendous MVP of this show. I don't know where the fans fall, and frankly, I might not even care, but yeah, it's every time Stellan Skarsgård gets in front of the camera, it really is a master class in terms of his acting and conveying and creating this character. He like if you're putting together a top 10 list of your favorite Star Wars characters, I don't know if by the end of Andor, someone like Luthen is going to edge his way into the bottom there. But all right, we've gotten quick impressions. We know everyone loves this episode on the panel, but now I want to do a deep dive. Tell me what it is that you liked about the show. Was there anything that you had? I have one small micro criticism about this episode, but I'm curious to hear from the panel, get their thoughts on it. I want to start with you, Grandmaster. Let us know, good, bad, everything in between. What really stood out for you?
I have zero complaints. I'm gonna fanboy out now for a minute. One Way Out. That was at the title of of this episode, and we hear that in abundance. But I want to point actually not at the obvious when it comes to One Way Out. Um, for me, Mon Mothma was also in a spot where there was only one way out.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like it. She's not ready to make that sacrifice yet. Because basically, if she wants to fulfill her oath, because they have been talking about we took an oath for a while now in the show, and Mon Mothma is one of the people who took an oath, probably to defeat the Empire, to remove the Empire, and she will need to, basically marry off her daughter to fulfill that oath. And the moment she realizes that, when the two men leave, it was so well acted. I know everybody's raving about other stuff, and I will too in a minute, but I just want to point out that the actress who's portraying Mon Mothma in this show is doing such a great job, and she's not getting enough praise yet on this show, on the fandom. Yeah, the prison break. It was amazing. It was well thought out. It was well executed. It was well, how to say, build up in the previous episodes. We can tell. I can tell a lot about it, but I will let other people do that, about what Kino said and stuff like that. I just want to say the moment where he arrives at the end of that hallway and he sees, or he knows he has to jump, and then he realizes, I can't swim. It all comes back to a line earlier in this episode where he said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm dead already. I just want to give a fight, and then I will see where I end up. He already knew he would die because he couldn't swim. So his sacrifice is amazing in this in this film, and his the moment he really says, to hell, I'm going for it, when they're back in the cell and everybody's talking about what happened on 2 and nobody believes Andor, and then he says it's all true. And Andy Serkis, I mean, he played Gollum, and Gollum is an iconic character and one of the best acting performances in history of cinema. I would put this on this level. He was that great, and nobody can change my mind on that. I thought it was absolutely great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of speeches in this episode, and Cassian Andor giving speeches to Kino to convince him. Kino giving speeches to everybody. Again, I let everybody else rave about that. Luthen's speech, I even thought about reciting it just for this review, but that had so many good lines, so many good lines. It literally gave me goosebumps when I watched it, and it gives me goosebumps right now when I'm talking about it. It was so good. Yeah, it's amazing. Before I keep talking and nobody else has something new to say, I just want to point out that in one of the prequels, Padmé Amidala wears a hat, metal hat.
Yeah.
And actually, that was seen in Luthen's shop during the episode when the woman tells him there's a mark on the fountain. So that was a great Easter egg spotted. And this I saw on TikTok. I'm not going to take credit for it, but it blew my mind. There's a reason why the colors of the Resistance in the original trilogy are orange and white. Of at least they retcon that, but of course, but look at the colors of the prisoners. Same. So there are so many great stuff inside this episode and in this show. There is nothing that Disney Plus has done that is on this level. And I'm going to say it. I switched around from Rings of Power and House of the Dragons this year. What was the greatest show on streaming? No, it's Andor. It's on next level from what I've seen. And that's all I'm going to say, because others want to rave, I guess, too.
No, but we're always interested in what you have to say, Grandmaster. I mean, searching commentary on the episode, the actress that you were giving all of that credit to, who played Mon Mothma, not only in Andor, but also in Rogue One, her name is Genevieve O'Reilly, assuming that I pronounced that the traditional way and correctly. She didn't get a lot to do with the character of Mon Mothma in Rogue One, but man, they are making up for that like crazy in Andor. We see what she had to give up, and we get a sense of the oath that she had to make in order to join the rebellion. The only other comment I'll make about what you're saying in terms of the trade-off with her daughter, that's not the type of child that you might feel bad about marrying off. I'll say that. So the writers are kind of putting her into this moral conundrum. She's not really connecting with her teen daughter. So I'm very curious to see if she's actually going to go through with this arrangement.
Yeah, but I think it's more like she has to get her hands dirty and to be a rebel or to destroy the empire. And this is a symbolism in the show. I mean, she is contaminating her good name and standing in Centralia by marrying off her daughter to the son of a fuck, basically.
Yeah, son of a thug, to keep it PG.
Yeah, there are other words which I will not utter here.
Indeed. But yes, thanks so much for the commentary, Grandmaster. Merv, we're going to jump right into the pool with you. likes, dislikes, everything in between, one way out. What do you think?
The show is doing a great job of introducing characters and having me like or hate or like to hate them right away. And that Davo character that she meets is like one of those characters. He is a perfect like encapsulation of a very bad word that Grandmaster wouldn't say. He comes across as so slimy, but so like he clearly feels like a bit of pretentiousness, but he's like a slimy scumbag from his own planet, and it works so well. In contrast to Mon Mothma, just she's like dipping her toe in this slimy pool, trying to get things done for the rebellion, and she hates it. You can tell she hates it. Um, and I actually have different expectations about that. Like I think so. He mentioned that he has talked to her husband several times, and I'm wondering if that's not going to be a backdoor marriage arrangement where the husband is like, "Oh yeah, here's my daughter." I don't know, but I'm wondering if something like that isn't in the cards for her character and how she's going to react to that. Where basically now her daughter is, he said he didn't want betrothal, but he wanted an arrangement or a meeting, and it's like, well, what do you really want? Um, but that was all great. We touched base with Marva. Apparently, Marva's real sick, Cassian's mom. So I thought that was interesting, and it also showed that we know who the Empire spy and the Rebellion spy watching. But they're both like literally 10 feet from her door, like watching everything that happens. So I'm waiting for that to boil over. Um, the prison break, fantastic. I've already, said how I just kept inching closer and closer to my TV with every sequence. The moment the floor shorts out, one, they didn't really tell us what was happening. We knew they were carving into the pipe, and then when water starts spurting out, everything clicked in my brain. Like, they're gonna short everything out. Yeah, hopefully, and you just hope they don't fry in the process. And sure enough, that's what happened. And then whenever the moment that Circus's character realizes that the floor is dead and he screams attack, is just like, your blood starts rushing. You're like, here we go, finally. And there was just so many like small moments during that whole sequence that were great, and especially from Cassian. I love his ability to just nonchalantly kill a guy and then go back to whatever he was doing. Just whenever that one guard who posed like almost zero threat at that point, he just shoots him and then goes back to looking down the hallway and then shoots another one. And I love his character so much in this. It's the moment I will say that didn't sit right with me, especially the first time I watched this, because I watched this a couple times now, was the I can't swim part, because it just left him in this purgatory for me where, like, is he gonna die? Is he gonna live? Like, we'll go back and find something to float on. How come nobody's helping him? Like, I was just left in this distraught position, and maybe that's what they wanted from me. But I'm just like, that was like, it took a lot of the wind out of my sails for this, great moment of freedom. And it's that pill has gone down a little bit better with rewatches. I'm like, okay, I get it now. You can see the shades of, like, he's already a dead man, blah blah blah. But I really, overall, I love that sequence. That's just like especially the first time I watched it. That end, I'm like, what? You know what I mean? You can't do this to me. You can't make me love this character and then leave him on a cliffhanger like this. Like, I would almost have rather him like just jumped in at the end or something like that. But I'm hoping we get to see him again in the future. Just because Andy Serkis is so great. What was the other one? Oh, the Luthen and Lonnie. I mean,
Yeah.
that speech, like I've loved that every time I've rewatched it. It just Skarsgård's acting and the way it's written is so good. Into also, gets kind of overshadowed in it, but like the character Lonnie, like all of a sudden there's this character who's been like a background character, and we get so much development for him in just this one scene. We find out that he's a spy and he has a family and he's scared, and it's like, well, yeah, and now he has nowhere to go either. He's got he's got one way out too, and that's to basically kill himself. Like he's stuck in between the Empire and the Rebellion, and he's got nowhere to go. It was just all so well done. The only other negative I'll say, and I feel like Lord Deathman may agree with me on this, is the character Cyril getting like no love in this episode. I don't know what they're doing with him, because like just gets strung along for a few episodes, and then he'll get a lot of development, and then like he gets nothing, and it's just like, well, where is he going? You know what I mean? He's been too much of a focus for me to forget he's there. That's the only thing, is like just a scene, and I'm I'm wondering if there's a lot of like small moments where Deidre's character gets overshadowed in the last couple episodes, and I'm wondering if she isn't starting to feel the pressure of her subordinates or other characters, and she's going to turn to Cyril to like try to give her another moment of
right
recognition with
and use
Partagaz.
the guy as an asset.
Yeah. So that's it. Overall, I love this episode. I thought it was really great. There was just a couple little hangers on that I'm like,
Yeah. I'm going to call those micro complaints. I'm right there with you in terms of the Kino Loy I can't swim revelation. That really hit me in the stomach like a punch. I was like, oh no, it can't end like this. Why aren't there any life rafts on this thing? Like, is it just designed to be the Titanic? Will the whole prison just sink? But yeah, nothing to grab onto, no one to say. But it felt real. It's just people are this verisimilitude of people rushing to get out and escape, and no one's helping anybody. There's a bit of a stampede going on. Wouldn't be surprised if Kino Loy does not come back and he died heroically there. I could live with that, even though it would be hard to do that. And at the very least, Merv, we get to put an end to any kind of Kino Loy Snoke fan conspiracy theories that
Yeah.
it's Snoke in the prison. Yeah, he's force sensitive, so he may survive. Yeah. So, but I'm right there with you. Micro criticisms that I will go through before we jump into our final deep dive with Taylor. One, I do feel that subplot with Anto Krieger is sort of being more tell than show. The Anto Krieger as a separatist having this critical piece of intelligence on this facility that the rebellion can sort of take advantage of. I do wish we were seeing a little bit more like that. I don't even think we have actually seen the Anto Krieger character. Maybe that's coming up in the last two episodes. And yeah, that's really all I have, and it's a minor criticism. I'll also join Merv in the criticism of Cyril. We are going down the garden path with that guy, but I'm still there for it. Just even based on the last episode and his gripping exchange with Supervisor Miro, I'm still here. Let's do it. Let's see what Cyril is all about. But thanks so much for those notes. Always great commentary from Merv. Enjoying the discussion 100%. But last but not least, we have to talk to the fan without fear about his thoughts on One Way Out. We need it all. We need the good, Taylor. We need the bad. We need everything in between. What do you have for us today?
Well, you guys covered everything really good. I agree with almost everything everyone said. The prison break scene, again, just really good. Some parts of it when they were crashing through doors and grabbing weapons and overwhelming the guards, it felt like Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, which is one of my top 5 of the original 5 Planet of the Apes movies. So that was fun. The Kino thing, I mean, as soon as he said that I can't swim, I said to myself, no better time than the present to learn. Jump the heck off this thing and start swinging your arms and legs and see what happens. Don't just stand up there and wait for the guards to come and shoot you. Okay. But I didn't have any problem with it. It was a powerful scene. It was really amazing. I'm really curious to know how far the land was. Just how far did they have to swim, and how many of them made it. We only saw 2 running at the end, so hopefully more than that made it. I thought it was really strange, the scene, that little short scene back on the other planet where they showed us that his adopted mother was ill. I really thought there was going to be more to that, but that was like a 30-second scene just to show us a doctor was going to see her, and the house was being watched. But that was really strange to me that was all that they had of that thing, and then they went back. Didn't go back later. I mean, obviously we'll see more in later episodes. Lonnie, anyone want to take bets on how many episodes he's got left to live? I think Deidre. Okay.
I'm gonna go with one.
I think Deidre, is that her name? The ISB officer. I think she already suspects him. She gave him a look as he was talking in this episode. I think she's already suspecting that he's a mole for the rebellion. So I can see him getting caught and probably killed here pretty quick. But everything else, everything was fantastic. I was a little confused with the water. I guess it shorted out the electricity, which makes sense. That works. At first, I thought there was some deal where if the floor was wet, the electricity wouldn't electrocute you. I said to myself, I don't think that's how it works. I think you might have a good chance of still being electrocuted, even if you're standing on water. But if that was to short out the electricity, okay, that makes more sense. And a couple guys did get electrocuted when they first hit the floor thing, but they weren't on the table in time. So it was a chaotic situation, and they did a good job of it. I mean, something had to be done, otherwise, the escape would have been almost impossible. Andy Serkis, you don't have to say anything except Andy Serkis. That's
Right.
You don't have to say, well, what a great performance. You don't have to say that's redundant. It's Andy Serkis. He's freaking incredible. Really interested to see what comes next. I'm sure we're going to see Cyril again. I didn't have a problem with him not being in this particular episode. We don't have to see everybody in every episode, but I'm sure he's going to come creeping back at some point. And I'm really curious to see these next two episodes, and I'm going to be, upset when the last one airs. I'm going to be like, wait, when's the next season? Because we only got 2 episodes left, and there's a whole lot going on and a whole lot more to see. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it really is fantastic. Tell me something, Taylor. Did you feel any sympathy for Supervisor Lonnie Jung, our mold? He's talking about his daughter. He's talking about the things he had to give up before we get that incredible speech from Luthen. But are you going to feel any sympathy before this guy goes?
Yes, I actually do. I feel a lot of sympathy for the guy. I felt it when he was talking. He was actually trying to get out. He's like, I did what I could, but it's too dangerous now. I have a family now. I need to stop. And he got told no. in a much lengthier speech than that, he got told, right, no, you're not getting out. And I'm going to feel really bad for him when he dies next episode, which I'm pretty sure I could bet on.
Inevitable. Yeah, which seems inevitable. But you're right. Basically, Luthen took the long way around to say no. You are not getting out. But the performer Robert Ems, who does the performance as Supervisor Jung, does an incredible job. He seems to be, ill at ease, even when he's kind of playing the part of the supervisor amongst the Imperials, and then he totally falls apart. He's just completely nerve-wracked by the time he has to go meet Luthen. His body language in the elevator on the way down, the express trip, the talks they have over the walkie-talkie, also very notable and worthwhile in this episode. It's just like somebody saw the first sets of performances in this show and they were like, well, I'm not going to be the one to turn in a bad performance, right? Somebody will have a suck performance in this show, but it ain't going to be me. It feels like it's that kind of show where everyone is just trying to competitively do the best work that they can. But yeah, thanks so much, Taylor, for the incredible deep dive that we're doing on the show and giving us your take on it. This is the last round of the show, so you definitely want to stick around as we ask the champions to give us a grade on this particular episode, their particular rating, and any final comments or closing notes that you might have on the episode that you want to share. I'm going to start with Grandmaster. What was your take on One Way Out? What is your grade on this episode?
Well, I'm limited by Kino Loy himself because he said never more than 12. So I'm going 12 out of 10.
Wow. But never more than 12, right? Okay,
Exactly. Never more than 12.
yeah. That has turned into a little bit of a battle cry for some of the Star Wars fandom in social media. Never more than 12.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, but you heard it here. We broke the scale with the Grandmaster's review, and we're going to follow that up. Merv, I know it's going to be hard for you to follow that grade up, but what are your thoughts?
Just one last thought about Luthen and Lonnie's interaction. I noticed it more the second time, but whenever they eventually meet face to face after the elevator ride, Luthen gives Lonnie praise and calls him a hero, and it's a lot of the things that he says he'll never get, and it's him like trying to project like what he would actually want, I think,
Want, yeah,
onto Lonnie, trying to satisfy his desire to get out of this thing, or to just give him credit where credit's due. I don't know. I just really noticed it more on the second time after you hear his speech, and then you go back and rewatch it. I noticed a lot more then.
yeah.
Um, Despite my issues, I'm having a real hard time not giving this a 10 out of 10. It was such a good episode. The highs were so high that I have to give it a 10 out of 10. I'm not going to go 13 out of 10, but that would be the only thing.
Right, that's taboo
It'd be
on
the
this.
only way to beat Grandmaster.
Indeed. Yeah, so perfect scoring all around. There is one moment in that Luthen Lonnie talk where he does try to make Lonnie out to be like he's going to be this incredible hero, but then at the end of the monologue, he just abruptly closes the elevator door and like sends him away. Right? It's an elevator that's going to hell, but it's going up for Lonnie, right? That was just like an incredible piece of stage business there. So we leave it to Taylor once again to sew up the show, give your rating on this, and any final comments. What did you think?
I thought it was a great episode. I'm expecting even better things in the next two episodes, so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
Wow. Okay. 9 out of 10. That's conservative here as far as the panel is concerned. So, still, we've got an outstanding show and an incredible episode. And I know we keep saying that. If you haven't watched Andor, you really do need to tune in and you will see what we are talking about. This isn't just fanboy protecting the brand or whatever. This is really good television. It surpasses Marvel, as Grandmaster was saying. It's really probably the best thing that Disney Plus has going in its fiction content section right now. So we've done it all here. We've rated it, we've analyzed it, we broke it down. Did you agree with us? Did you disagree with us? Either way, you can jump in the comments in this video to let us know what you think. And you can join us at sakar.freeforums.net if you want an opportunity to be on the show. Why let ours be the only voices on the situation? If you haven't found us already in social media, you know where to go: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Do that thing. We'd love to talk with you there. And finally, may the force be with you. And I'll throw in never more than 12. Have a good one.